When I bring up the word hymn, what comes to mind? Is it a reference to a person or a amazing, sadly somewhat forgotten, incredible gothic band of specifically the 2000s into the early 2010s? Their early debut would be at the end of the 90s, but in total, they would see a release of, in total, 6 studio albums in total. And we are looking at strictly their 6 official studio albums, excluding EPs or live albums. Total, we have 6 albums to look at. This is a tier list of, in my opinion, his Infernal Majesty albums. In total, we have 4 tiers: aluminum tier, bronze tier, silver tier, and gold tier. There is no trash tier because there is no, in my opinion, trash album from him, His Infernal Majesty. With an incredible vocalist, which I have always loved the vocals in him, and also the frontman now has his own solo album, which I highly recommend checking out his YouTube channel, Heartagram, and checking out some of the music. It is great. It sounds very much like him, except including a bit techno mixed in. So with that said, before we get started, the music in the background choice today is from the Demon Souls remake. As always, From Software has always had very solid music in their series, and I felt it goes with the somewhat gothic feel. So with that said, for me, I will be going in order by the way of album release, rather than starting at a lower tier and stuff, so we'll go in proper order of discography. First regular standalone released album was their album technically released in 1999, known as Razorblade Romance. Now later we would see a special edition Razorblade Romance, which would include songs from a earlier prior EP, songs like Your Sweet 666 would be one of the special. Though specifically, Razorblade Romance is known for great songs like Poison Girl. Of course, you had other great songs from the band like Join Me in Death, and probably one of my personal favorite cover songs, their cover of Chris Isaak's song, Wicked Game. But I liked their style and sound. I thought actually suits the song a little bit better than Chris Isaak's version. But with that said, for me, Razorblade Romance, though it is arguably my top 3 favorite albums from him, for me on the tiers, I give Razorblade Romance a silver tier ranking. Second highest rank. Next, we would see the release in 2003, 4 years later, their next studio album. It's one of my less favorable albums. I have mixed feelings. There are definitely specific feature and definitely important songs to their discography on the album. But for me, I have to put their second studio album, Love Metal, in on bronze tier. Then we go to another one of my top 3 favorite albums from them, released in 2005. Arguably, this would be the biggest success album of their career on definitely the mainstream. This would also be their only, to my knowledge, album outside of like Razorblade Romance that actually made it to like platinum in sales numbers. Obviously, spearheaded by one specific song, and that being, of course, Rip Out Wings of a Butterfly, arguably their biggest song. It's a good song. Best, not my personal favorite, but it's a good song. Also, Dark Side of Eden is a great song. You also have probably just about my personal favorite song, Vampire Heart. That would be, and this would also be on the silver tier, and that would be their 2005 album, Dark Light. Coming in next is their 4th studio album, released in 2007, and it is my personal favorite album from His Infernal Majesty. Uh, and that being the only one of the albums, for me personally, that makes it to gold tier. And that is their album, Venus Doom, with superb songs like this actual song, Venus Doom. My personal probably favorite song off the album being Passion's Killing Floor, though I also like Sleepwalking Past Hope. Heavily inspired by definitely Black Sabbath, you could tell. A great 10-minute song, superb. Also, Cyanide Sun is another song I really love off that album. There's many other songs. Um, Kiss of Dawn. But then we have next their fifth studio album released in 2010. Unfortunately, I don't like it so much as some of the Air stuff, but still, I think it's a solid album. It definitely has some good songs like Heart Killer and many others. Coming in at bronze tier is their fifth studio album, Screamworks, Love in Theory and Practice. Last but not least, sadly, comes in at aluminum tier. Is arguably, in my opinion, their weakest album. Was their last album. Their sixth album released in 2013, 10 years ago, hard to imagine. And that is the album Tears on Tape. Now, if you haven't heard any of these albums, I highly recommend checking out. I specifically highly recommend checking out if you want a little bit lighter, more poppy tone. I recommend either Dark Light or probably Screamworks. Now, if you want a little more heavily goth feel, atmospheric and stuff, then I highly recommend definitely Razorblade Romance and Venus Doom is definitely, I think, probably their hardest album in my opinion, though they were never known for being really hard music. But it truly has the true classic gothic feel that I miss from music today. Really, goth culture is mostly dead here in America, sadly, but it's still alive and thriving throughout Europe in many places. Thanks to many bands like classics like the 69 Eyes, as well as many other bands out there, which I also really appreciate the fact that goth is still going strong in Europe. But with that said, that is my tier list for the 6 albums of His Infernal Majesty. Leave a comment below. Tell me if you're a fan of him, what was your personal favorite album and where would you rank their albums at? Also, what is your personal favorite song from His Infernal Majesty? But with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Stay safe out there. See you again soon.